This is Lois Whaley with Women Today and Yesterday. My guest today is Bhakti Shah. Hi, Bhakti.
Hello, Lois.
Glad that you were able to come out on this terribly rainy day.
I'm glad to be here myself.
Bhakti and I are both members of the International Women's Day Festival Planning Committee, and the International Women's Day Festival is coming up real soon, right?
Oh, yeah, it's just this Sunday.
Sunday, March 15th in the afternoon from 2 until 6 o'clock. And as usual, it's going to be at the Baker Center Ballroom on Baker Center 4th floor.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Have you been to other of the festivals?
I have been to the previous two festivals
The
here.
previous two?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have always enjoyed those. The first time I came, I was a little nervous because I was a vendor. I do henna.
Uh-huh.
So I was doing henna, and I mean, it was my first time in Athens and at Ohio University.
Yes.
And it was a really good experience for me. I did a Bollywood dance too. That was my first time.
Uh-huh. And I think you're going to be one of the performers this Sunday, aren't you?
Yes, I have. Actually, me and my friends are planning on a group dance performance on a few Bollywood songs. And so we are hoping you guys enjoy. Everybody enjoys, whoever comes.
How large is your group?
We are 4 of us as of now.
4 as
Yeah.
of now. And they're all from India like yourself?
Yes. Well, 3 of us are from India. One is from Chile. Her name is Camila, and she is basically a very good friend, and she enjoys Bollywood dancing. So the other 2, Sneha and Akanksha, they are from India, just like me.
Oh, I see. Whereabouts are you from in India?
I am from Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Uh-huh.
Is that what used to be called Bombay?
Yes, it used to,
Okay.
and then it keeps switching names, but yes, I call it Mumbai.
Mumbai, yes. Well, unfortunately, I've had 60 years of calling it something else. So but this is not at all unusual for people to say, hey, we'd like to be called something else, something that sounds more like our own word, our own name.
It's just that when the British left India,
Yes.
it took us around 40 years to realize, okay, they're not coming back, for sure. Now we can change our name back to Mumbai.
Oh, good. So Bombay was actually the name that the British colonial power called
That's
your
right.
city.
That's right.
Is it the largest city in India?
No, it's not the largest city, but it's the financial hub of India for sure. The Bollywood, the capital, you could say, we have the whole Bollywood industry in Mumbai, the financial hub, and it's people dream of coming to Mumbai every day. We have lakhs of people coming to Mumbai.
So now explain Bollywood for me. What is Bollywood?
It's the lingo for Hindi movies, just like you have Hollywood.
Movies.
Yep.
Okay.
And Bollywood is basically the Hindi film industry. And the hub, like you have the Hollywood in Los Angeles, am I right?
Yes.
Yes, we have it in Mumbai.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So I am becoming familiar, of course, but it's only, I think, in the last couple of years that we've really heard about Bollywood per se, that the Indian film industry is doing so well, and so on, and
I think it was after that Slumdog Millionaire movie that you guys realized.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what my friends tell me. Oh, you have Bollywood. It's because we saw Slumdog Millionaire, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. And that was just a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Right.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how many. Maybe 5 at least. Yeah, 5, 6 at least. Yes.
So you are a student at Ohio University.
Yes, I'm a student. I am currently studying my MA in linguistics, and I am also pursuing PhD in higher education, and I am a GA. I am the instructor for Hindi.
For
I teach
Hindi?
Yes, I teach Hindi at OU.
Which is the language of the Hindus in India?
It's the language of India. It's one of the languages of India.
One of the languages of
Yes,
India.
it's one of our national languages.
Well, there are many parts of India, and if I remember correctly, Mumbai is on the west.
That's right. It's on the west.
It's on the west.
Yes.
And is Calcutta on the east?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mumbai is on the west. Calcutta is on the east.
And New Delhi's sort of in the middle?
It's in the north.
In the north.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, India is a large.
Oh yeah, it has a large land area. It has everything that the world can wish for. It has tropical weather. It has cold, snowy weathers. We have the Himalayas that provide that, and then beautiful weather in the south. So yes, everything that you could wish for.
Right. Okay, I'm getting a better picture now. I brought a shawl here. I've put it on the table. I'm not sure. It may show up on part of the program sometime or other. But this Indian shawl has an interesting history in our family.
Oh.
That is to say, my husband and I met 60 years ago, 61 years ago to be exact now, at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
And then after our marriage in July of 1954, my husband was drafted into the American Army.
Oh, wow.
And we had a friend, he had a friend that he knew from several of his classes who was an Indian man who was working on a graduate degree at the University of Michigan. So anyway, when Bob went away to the Army, he had a suit which he couldn't use, but it was warm, a nice warm woolen suit. And so we gave it to his friend from India.
Mm.
And then his name was Thakur, and he was actually from Kerala. I think it's pronounced Kerala.
Kerala, yes.
Kerala, which is in the south of India.
That's right.
Anyway, a number of years later in the mail, we got this beautiful shawl, which I think probably was made by a member of his family.
Wow, that's nice.
Really nice. It's a beautiful silk and the different colors and so on. So I thought it would be nice to bring. And do you sometimes wear a sari?
Oh, well, it's very difficult to wear a sari. I'm not used to it, but I have worn it a few times in the past, yes. I prefer the Punjabi or the anarkali dresses, which are like leggings and a long top.
Oh, I see.
prefer those because you're more comfortable in those.
Yes.
Yeah, but sari, yes, nothing beats a sari. It's the most beautiful thing that I feel out there.
That's true.
But yes, I go to the next best thing.
Yes. Well, I have several Indian friends here in Athens over the years. This happens occasionally. My microphone has fallen off. I hope it will continue to pick me up right. And actually, I have a picture here of an Indian member of the faculty in the business college.
Uh-huh.
And you mentioned that you knew her, Dr. Manjulika
Koshal.
Koshal.
Yes, Dr. Koshal, yes, I know
Dr.
her.
Koshal. I've known her for 40 years at least,
They have
very
been
long
here a long time. They were one of the earliest families to come to Athens, one of the first Indian families, I think.
They were, yes.
Yeah, so-
Two families came about the same time. They didn't come together at all, but they came about the same time. One was the Koshals, and the other was the Gawandis.
Mm-hmm. Dr.
Have
Ram
you-
Gawande.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Sushila and Ram Gawande. Yeah.
Sushila.
Yeah. I know her pretty well, yeah. She's like a mother figure to me.
Oh, she's a wonderful person.
She is.
Dr. Sushi Gawande. Both the Gawandis are or were medical doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And of course their son, Atul, is currently very well known across the country for writing books about medicine and so on.
I read his book, like I'm halfway through the book about his the latest one that he has.
Morality.
About morality, yeah.
Mortality.
Mortality, sorry about
Mortality.
that. Yeah.
Right.
So it was a
yeah.
really nice book.
It's not anything to laugh about because it's about the end of life, of course.
Yeah,
mortality.
and it's the debate that the medical world currently is going about. At the end, like, doctors assisting. So yeah, it was a good book. I haven't yet completed it, so I don't have a complete review on the book. But it is a good book.
Well, I have a couple of things that remind me of Dr. Sushi Gawande. And one of them is this UNICEF box here. And I have a bag which says UNICEF on it that I got. I must have gotten this on one of my visits to the United Nations. I've been to the United Nations under every Secretary General.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's a bit of a record.
How is that experience?
Yeah, well, I was a student at Stanford starting in 1948. And of course, that was the year after independence for India in 47. And I can remember as a high school student, senior high school, 1948, when Gandhi, the Mahatma Gandhi, was assassinated. It was, I mean, even to a young girl who lived way out west in Nevada and international things weren't that big, it was a tremendous shock to people when Gandhi was assassinated. That was early 1948. But by that time, of course, there had already been a division of colonial India into Pakistan.
Yeah, that was the day before we got independence. Pakistan got its independence on 14th of August, and we got it on 15th of August.
In 1947, yeah. And then, of course, Pakistan in those days was in two parts, actually.
Yeah, it was the East Pakistan and the West Pakistan.
Yes.
Which is currently Bangladesh, the east one.
Today,
is
the
Bangladesh.
east part is called Bangladesh. And those are the East and West Pakistan were because those were the areas that were most heavily Muslim.
Yeah, it's at that time before India got its independence, Muslims, the majority of population was divided into two parts of India. So when Jinnah wanted Pakistan, they were confused as how to go about. So then they came up with this unique solution that let's have two parts of Pakistan, one at extreme ends of India.
Yes.
So that's how it happened, and the political, let's say, the capital was in West Pakistan, and East Pakistan was basically like a union territory of sorts for the West Pakistan. So that's when they realized that East Pakistan is not, like, let's say 10 years down, they realized that East Pakistan was not getting the growth, let's say politically and industrially and all the 360-degree growth that they deserve and that they should get. That's when they fought the war. I think it was 1975, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure about the year.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But it became Bangladesh.
It became Bangladesh. Yes.
Separate country.
India helped them get independence, and they became Bangladesh.
Yes. So, well, I know that much history for sure. Anyway, I think the Koshals and the Gawandis, if I'm not mistaken, are both from the western part of India. Itself.
Yes. Dr. Ram Gawande was from Maharashtra. That's the state I come from.
Oh, really?
Yes. And Dr. Sushi Gawande was from Gujarat. That's just a little north of, we share a border, Maharashtra. And both Koshals are from north, I think.
From the north.
North,
okay.
yes.
Yeah. Well, as I say, they both came, although separately, but they were our first real Indian families, and of course they both raised families here. They both raised their children here in Athens, and in fact, Atul Gawande went to Stanford, which is my college, and where my daughter Alice went.
Wow.
And so there were some times, she finished high school in 81, and I think Atul finished in 83. But there were a couple of times when it was convenient, for people going to the airport in Columbus I don't think I ever drove Atul. I think that Alice went with Atul and his family at least once to the airport because they were both going back to Stanford, yeah, for college days. So, and of course, that's a long time ago now. Well, and we're a bit far away from the International Women's Day Festival.
You know, when we get talking.
But that's all right, you know. Let's talk a little bit more about the festival itself. This is the 7th year, and I have been on the planning committee each year for 7 years, so they begin to blur together in my mind, you know, just what happened when and so forth. But they've followed the same path, which I think is proven to be good in terms of having performers and vendors who sell goods that women would be interested in buying, and tabling for women to put up exhibits about things they are doing personally, like personal research on women and so on, or something that a student group is doing, or a community group. Mm-hmm. And so we've had that aspect of it as well. Plus there's certain things that they have realized really worked, like having an art table for the older children, you know, so they could have an art project while 4 hours of performance were going on in the ballroom.
Yeah, but we never fall short of those, right? People want to come, people want to, you know, display their skills and talents, celebrate women.
Yes.
So that's sometimes it's like, okay, how are we going to fit all these in 4 hours, right?
Yes. Or can we enlist enough people? But we certainly have managed every year to enlist enough people. And you and I are both going to be performers.
Yeah.
You're going to have your dance group, and that's actually going to be toward the end of the...
Yes, I think we are slotted after 5, so I think it's around 5:30.
5:30, right. So people who want to see a nice Indian dance show up at 5:30, because we do have people who come and go, you know. They may come to support their friends who are performing or whatever and just stay for a couple of performances and leave, or some folks stay for the whole time, which is great too. I usually have done that myself, but it is a sort of a drop in and drop out kind of thing. Well, we're at the opposite ends.
You're beginning, right? You're the
I'm
one
the beginning, yeah. And,
at 2 p.m., right?
At 2 p.m. And, well, not quite at 2, because, of course, there's always an introduction. Dr. Susanna Dietzel, who runs the Women's Center, which is the one that is the main sponsor of the event. She always will begin, you know, and explain kind of what's going on and, you know, that sort of thing.
Right.
But there will be probably a couple of people introducing, a couple of students who will be introducing the different performers as they go along.
The MCs.
MCs, right. Mistress or master of ceremonies, as the case may be. Well, they will be mistress in the old style because they're women.
Right.
All the performers are women. I think maybe we have one performer who is going to sing a song who's accompanied by a male instrumentalist.
Right, yeah, she is, I am not sure which this thing, because we don't have it on the list yet because she was a little late in submitting, but yeah, we are going to have, the thing about these performances is that it's basically women-centered. We don't have male performers, but certain males who support the idea of women empowerment, they come and perform with their partners, and they support the performances, wherein the woman is in the center of the performance and they're just you know, supporting at the...
And we're going to be having a couple of nice fashion shows,
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
yeah. We have two fashion shows. One is basically by a community member, and she's going to be contributing. She has her own set of dresses that she has designed, and she's going to have her own, friends probably showcasing her talents.
How
And
nice.
then we have one fashion show wherein we have people all over the world. Like Athens is an international community now because of these
Yes.
students.
100 students from 100 different countries there.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right. So we are going to have some of those students, some of those women students, showcasing their ethnic wear, their culture, and then they're going to walk the stage, show the world show Athens that what culture they come from. They're going to describe a little bit about their culture, talk about their dress, and then that's how the fashion show is going to go about.
Yes. Well, we've had a fashion show, I think, every year, and they've always been very interesting and beautiful things from around the world. And some people wear modern dress too.
Yeah, it's the contemporary, because to be honest, when we are having this fashion show, it's not just about what is your traditional dress, but what you actually wear. Like today, if I talk about India, people think, oh, everybody wears a sari in India,
Yes.
traditional. But that's not the case. We are
Yes.
modern too.
Right.
So that's why if there was a girl who were supposed to wear, let's say, modern clothes and walk on stage and say, if she's from India, well, she should be accepted, because that is true. We wear such clothes in India.
Right, yeah. So it will be, it should be quite nice to see two fashion shows, actually, we're planning on.
Right.
Of course, you never can tell, things happen at the last minute. But we're planning on two fashion shows at different parts during the 4 hours, because
right.
of course, and you mentioned you're going to be dancing, and you have a friend who's going to...
I have a friend. Her name is Swati Raghu. She is basically a very good Indian classical singer. So she's going to be, she's also, I think, towards the end, and she's going to be singing a small piece of classical music from India.
Right. Well, that will be something nice and sort of different. I think we maybe once or twice before we've had a classical singer, or maybe it was an instrumentalist, one of the sort of like, I'm trying to think what we call them in this country. I'm searching, but anyway, something you do with your fingers that's kind of like a harp, only instead of being a big,
Sitar?
fancy...
Are you talking about the sitar?
Sitar.
Sitar is like, basically it has a long...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a sitar, yeah.
Right.
You play with the hand.
With the fingers.
Yeah.
So I know we've had some classical music before, but it'll be nice to have again,
It's very difficult these days to find some students who are basically into such classical music.
Yes.
Yeah, because life's become so fast and everybody wants to go get ahead that nobody has
Yes.
time for certain hobbies.
Yeah, that's true.
And in that, it's good to see, people still holding on to their roots, like classical singing by Swati, and, we have certain performances from Bolivia, from Indonesia, Middle Eastern dances, and the Sisters of Salam performing. It'll be good to see.
Right, and then there are some things that are quite different, like I believe we're going to have I'm not sure whether it's more like a dance or what, but it's the Ashanti warrior.
Oh, yeah. Ophelia, one of our students, she's going to be performing. The name of the warrior is Ya Ashanteva, I think, and she's from Ghana. And she was an Ashanti princess, like a warrior. So, we're looking forward to that.
Yes, there are all sorts of things. As for me, I always talk about women. What a surprise.
No, we need somebody to talk about women these days, the way everything's going on. Yes, we are still here.
We are still here. Oh, we're still here. This is the book, which is the autobiography of the woman that I'm going to be talking about. It's called Many a Good Crusade. And this woman was dean. She was dean for many years at Barnard College, which is in New York City, and associated with Columbia University. And she wasn't dean of women because there are no one but women at Barnard, at least in those days. But from 1911 until 1947, she was the dean of Barnard College.
Wow, that's good.
And she was a very active person. You know, I just can't imagine how she got everything done that she did, running around to all these different committees and so on. And of course, I guess there were a number of the committees that just met at Barnard, you know, when she was there. But the reason she's remembered, and the reason why I think it's so important to talk about her in this year, is that she was the only woman delegate in the U.S. delegation that went to San Francisco in the spring of 1945 to write the Charter of the United Nations.
Wow.
Yeah, the only woman. And there weren't too many women from around the world even. But you'll notice that I brought the United Nations flag here, which I've set up on a corner. And this was one of those things that I purchased on one of those many trips
With the ambassadors.
over the years to the United Nations to just to visit it and enjoy the place, you know. So, yeah, not that I ever met any of the secretaries general, you know. But
Now that you show, I mean, the box that you were showing me,
yes,
showing to me
UNICEF,
earlier.
yes.
Yeah, and my friend that I was talking about, Camila Laymaster, who's going to be dancing with me. She's also involved with UNICEF, and she showed me her box, like this one that you put pennies in and save, and then once it's fully donated.
Yes.
That's such a novel concept and such a good thing to do.
Yes.
She does that, so I was like surprised to see that you also have one too.
Right. Well, this is a rather old one. I've got a big one at home. And I'm so delighted that there's a student group that's interested in UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. That's what it was originally. Of course, now they just call it the United Nations Children's Fund.
That's right.
But it was founded in, I believe, 1947, because there were so many people from the war, from the Second World War, which just ended in 1945. There were so many people, both in Europe and Asia in particular, who had been affected by the war and the children. And so that was one of the first United Nations agencies that got active. And then in the early 1950s, there was a committee, U.S. Committee for UNICEF set up, and they began getting things in the boxes. And this is how Sushi Gawande and I got best acquainted, was that we were both on the local Athens UNICEF committee for a number of years. And so this box reminds me of Dr. Sushi Gawande. Yes. Well, well, I was talking about Virginia Gildersleeve, the dean of Barnard College, and the fact that she went to San Francisco to help write the Charter of the United Nations. She was on the committee that was working on the preamble.
Oh, wow.
It's the very beginning.
The first one.
The very beginning, the very first thing. And I thought it was rather interesting what she had to say about how some of these things came to happen. There were 6 other members of the delegation that went for the U.S. 2 senators, 2 members of the House of Representatives, and then some other people, including Virginia Gildersleeve, an educator, higher education specialist, and also Harold Stassen, who was later quite in. He was hoping one day to be president, but he never actually made it. But he was on that commission, and he was on the commission that was working on setting up the Charter of the United Nations. Anyway, I opened it here to this particular place because there was a long discussion about how they should write the preamble. And they had a good suggestion, but very, very lengthy, from General Smuts of South Africa, who had a lot of good ideas, but they were pretty long, you know. Mm-hmm. And one of the things was, what would they even call the new group?
That's right.
They'd had the League of Nations after the First World War. Well, President Roosevelt always called the Allied group the United Nations. And we in America are very fond of our preamble to our Constitution, which begins, "We the people of the United States," you know. So Congressman Bloom was really promoting we the peoples of the United Nations or the Allied Nations or the League of Nations or whatever for the preamble. And so that's what Virginia Gildersleeve was promoting in the committee that was talking about the preamble. And I wanted to read this bit here about how this came about. They were still arguing, you know, what are we going to call this group? Mm-hmm. And so she said, "Mr. Chairman, it is hardly necessary for me to say that the United States delegation feels very strongly on this subject and desires most earnestly that in English, at all events, our new world organization should be known as the United Nations, the name given to it by our great president." And you know, President Roosevelt had died just before they met in San Francisco. Okay. He died on April 14th, I think it was. Maybe, no, April 12th. I remember that as a child. I can remember going to a convocation, you know. We never had things called in the middle of the day, and I was in 8th grade at the time. We were called to the auditorium, and they said, "President Roosevelt has died."
Oh my.
No, so terrible. I couldn't imagine such a thing because he had been president for many, many years. He was nominated the year I was born, which was in 1932. He was elected in 32, and he was still president. The only president who served more than 2 terms was President Roosevelt. Right. So anyway, I need not repeat the arguments so admirably set forth by other speakers in support of the name of the United Nations, but I should like to express our gratitude to these other delegates who expressed these ideas so excellently. As I look back over the years, Mr. Chairman, to some of the darkest moments of this war, when it seemed as if victory for the cause of all of us was perhaps impossible, I begin to feel that perhaps some particular good fortune, some talisman of good luck is attached to the name of the United Nations. At all events, under that title and banner, we have fought through now almost to complete victory. This was in June 1945, and the war was still on with Japan then. And as together we won the peace by force of arms, I hope that together under this name we can go forward to maintain the peace and to realize the dream of Franklin Roosevelt.
Nice.
The committee then voted enthusiastically to recommend the adoption of this name.
United Nations.
The United Nations. So she was the one, and as I say, she also promoted We the Peoples, which was suggested by Congressman Bloom, who was from New York City also. So it's, you know, just an interesting piece of history. Well, what else do we have here that you might mention about some of the other performers?
Well, we have we have a student whose name is Eileen Haney, and she's going to be talking about her experience working on Court Street, like late at Court Street, late night. And then we have certain, what do you say, poets who are going to talk about their poetry. And what else do we have here? We have acoustic guitar playing by Madeleine Tournay. And well, songs by Jeffrey. She's going to be singing like songs to honor the International Women.
Oh, good. That'll be nice, yes. So there's a great variety, really.
There is a lot to see, yes. You would not be bored for those 4 hours.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy.
The only thing that I feel is missing this year is hula hoop.
Ah, right. We didn't have that.
We had such a nice hula hoop.
She was a hit. Yes, yes. I remember it last 2 years. Both the years she was there.
Yes, she was there both years, and I don't think she's going to be there this time. But that was marvelous. And I think, well, and I know we've sometimes had a belly dancer. I don't know whether there's a belly dancer this year. I don't think so.
No, we don't have a belly dancer this year.
Well.
We have we don't have belly dancing, but we have a Middle Eastern dance by Ellie Olin, and then that'll be followed by a group dance, a group performance by the Sisters of Salam.
Oh, so there will be definitely Middle Eastern dancing.
Yeah, we will be having some
great,
great.
Right. Well, you know, I don't know. We've been talking about this for a while, and here it is finally. Isn't that nice? This is our poster. I hope you're going to be seeing this poster around town in the coming days because it just got printed up.
I saw them on Court Street yesterday.
Great, wonderful. Well, they were printed up yesterday and immediately out on the street. And it says International Women's Day Festival, right? Sunday, the
15th of March.
15th of March. From 2 to 6.
2 p.m., yes, 6 p.m.
At the Baker Center Ballroom. And this is this year. And you know, we have them at the Women's Center. We have the previous 6 years worth of posters. And they're quite different.
Yes, they are. And it's good to see the creativity come out. And every year you expect, okay, now what new is going to come? But we are able to come up with something new. And that's marvelous.
Yes.
I think.
And in fact, Dr. Dietzel said they had more posters submitted this year than they've ever had before.
Wow.
Something like 12 or 15 posters were submitted by members of a class that's working on this kind of thing, you know. And I think she said they're going to try to have the other ones that were submitted
we should at least
on display.
Yeah, we should display them. That's
on
right.
display. So that'll be really nice. But I like this one. I like
yeah,
this
and this year's theme is empowering women, empowering humanity. Picture it. That's the theme this year for our International Women's Day.
And one of the things they're doing at the United Nations this year is they are celebrating Beijing plus 20 because the last big women's international meeting was in Beijing in 1995. It's hard to imagine it's that long ago.
I have no words.
But you know, the first one was in Mexico City in 1975. So it's Mexico City plus 40.
40, oh yeah, that's right. Well, that sounds more, you know, serious.
Yes. Well, but International Women's Day itself was founded by a German woman back in like 1908 or 1909 or something like that. A great, you know, a long, long time ago was the first International Women's Day. And Dr. Dietzel has a very nice picture she showed us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I remember that picture. She was holding her hand, I think,
Yes.
and the picture was, yeah.
Because Dr. Dietzel herself is originally from Germany. And so she found the statue of this woman who invented International Women's Day. And there she is holding the hand of the statue of the woman who founded International Women's Day. This is a great thing. It's being we're going to have the proclamation from the mayor for the 7th year.
Yeah.
Mayor Paul Weil has very kindly issued a proclamation for International Women's Day Festival. And Dr. Dietzel and I are going to be at his press conference on Wednesday to receive the proclamation.
Wow. That's
So
a really nice thing to hear.
we're looking forward to that very much. Well, I think we've said several times that this is March 15th, Sunday, 2 to 6 at Baker Center Ballroom. And I want to show you another picture here of someone from Athens. Now, I mentioned that Virginia Gildersleeve was dean at Barnard College. And this is a picture of Dean Irma Voigt when she was a young woman. Yeah, we have a big picture at the Women's Center.
I have seen this, yeah, I have seen this, yes, picture, right.
But you've never seen her looking like this,
No.
because she came in 1913 to Ohio University, and she was one of the first ones in the United States, one of the pioneer ones. Well, you can't imagine what I found in the archives here at Ohio University. There was a letter from Virginia Gildersleeve, author of Many a Good Crusade, to Dean Voigt. And it was a letter congratulating her on Dean Voigt's being elected president of the National Association of Deans of Women.
Wow, wow.
That was
I would like to see that letter, if
Yes.
possible.
Yeah, I have a Xerox copy.
We should present that at the Women's Center, I think.
We
the
will,
Women's
yes.
Center and at the International Day.
Yes, we will, because it was this time of year in 1935, which is exactly 80 years ago, that Dean Voigt was elected president of the National Association of the Deans of Women.
Wow.
And at the archives, which is on 5th floor of Alden Library, outside the archives, they have a place where they exhibit different things, about the university and of the archives and so on. And the current exhibit is remembering the 200th anniversary of the first commencement at Ohio University. There were 2 graduates.
Wow.
2 graduates in 1815. So that's 200 years ago this year. The first commencement was held at Ohio University. That was before, in fact, I think maybe they were actually building Cutler Hall at the time. They were meeting in another little building which has since been torn down, but which is commemorated behind Galbraith Chapel. There is a sundial. And the sundial
yes.
shows the original building at Ohio University. And so now 2015 is 200 years since that first commencement. And there is this display there, and one of the things that's on display is the pageant. There's a picture of Dean Voigt from about 1915, was in 1915. They had a whole week of pageantry to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the first commencement at Ohio University.
Wow.
And she was the one who organized that. So they have pictures. The lady told me they have pictures all from this 1915 pageant there on display.
That's amazing.
And a picture of Dean Voigt in 1915.
That's amazing.
So people should check it out.
They should, yeah.
They should go up to the 5th floor of Alden Library and go to the archives and take a look, and they will see the beautiful stained glass windows, pictures of them, very large pictures of those stained glass windows, which are now in Walter Hall, Margaret Walter Hall. And in front of those, they have this information about the 200th anniversary of commencement. And the middle two show Dean Voigt and pictures from the 1915 pageant.
Wow. I am definitely going to go and check that.
Yes, everyone ought to check it out. Yes, it will be on display for some time because, of course, they're still celebrating, but they especially celebrated on Ohio University Day, which I think was a week or so ago, before spring break, and sometime in February. So anyway, our Dean Voigt was, she was quite a woman. And she started the AAUW branch here in Athens in 1927. So what I have here, where did I put it? Yeah, 60th anniversary of year of AAUW. And our friend, Dr. Manju Koshal.
Let's show her pictures.
Yes. Has had several, she has been on the national committee that selects winners for getting grants from AAUW, because she herself has had several grants from AAUW over the years, the American Association of University Women. And Dean Gildersleeve spoke at many branches. I don't believe she ever spoke here. But she spoke at many branches because she was the president for a number of years of the International Federation of University Women. Okay. And she was active in AAUW in this country. So, a small world department.
Right.
All these connections that we don't realize often, but are so wonderful. So those are a couple of things, and you know what I often do is talk about some women of long ago, and one of the ones that I want to mention, well, not so long ago, I was thinking of Mrs. Gandhi, and I'm talking not about a relative of the Mahatma Gandhi, but her married name was Gandhi.
Okay.
And she was Prime Minister of India.
Yes, Indira Gandhi.
Indira Gandhi.
Yeah.
She's one of the people who's in my book here about Remember the Ladies, which shows women for every day of the year, either a death date or what have you. And I know Gandhi is in here somewhere, but she was a Nehru. Her maiden name was Nehru.
She was the daughter of the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru.
Yes.
And then she, when he passed away, then she was able to become the Prime Minister
right.
too. I mean, her sons were also in line for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was
active in the Congress Party.
Yes,
which was founded by Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes, it was.
And a couple of years ago, I think maybe this was before your time. When did you come as a student?
I came in 2011.
2011. Oh, did you hear Arun Gandhi speak?
No, I didn't hear him. No,
Yeah.
I came in August. So
in
probably,
August. He came in the spring. But he's the grandson of the Mahatma Gandhi. And he wrote this book about his grandmother, whose name was Gandhi, too, of course. Kastur, I think, was her name. Kasturba.
Yeah.
And this is a very interesting book because it gives more of her life and her background. And, you know, she was an amazing woman. She had 5 sons. The first child died, but she had 4 sons that grew up. And this Arun Gandhi was a child of her second son that lived. And he spoke in the spring of 2011 here. which is when I got this book. But imagine what it must have been like. I mean, she and Mahatma Gandhi were married when they were both 13 years old.
Yeah, it was child marriage.
Child marriage in
Yes.
those days.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was about 18, he went to England for 3 years and became a lawyer.
That's right. Yeah.
And then later, and then when he got back, you know, then they had another son. And then he went to South Africa.
Right.
And he was in South Africa for 3 years with
That's
his
right.
family back
Yeah.
in India. So she lived for 2 years, 2 groups of years of 3 years without her husband because he was so busy.
But I think she did go with him to South Africa.
She did eventually. He went first to South Africa for 3 years, and they were staying in India, according to this book.
Okay.
But then later, the family moved to South Africa, and it was there that he was working for what we would call civil rights for Indians.
For Indians.
Because there were a number of Indians who were living in South Africa. And South Africa was different from both England and India in that they had this terrible race problem. You know, the Boers, the Dutch people who had originally founded South Africa, were quite racist.
They were. Oh,
Yeah,
quite. Yeah.
yeah. And he was thrown off the train his first day in South Africa. He had bought a first-class ticket, gotten on at Durban.
He was brown. He was an Indian.
He was a proud Indian. He went 60 miles, and some guy came in the place and said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I've got a ticket." He showed him his ticket. He said, "You can't be in this carriage. You know, this is a first-class carriage. All the blacks have to go to the third-class carriage." Which was his first really terrible experience of racism. And he worked against racism in South Africa for a number of years. But the first 3 years, his family was back in India,
Oh, okay. I didn't know
according to this book.
that. Okay.
But it's a very interesting book. Koster, yes, Koster, and
Yeah, we
some
used to call her Kasturba
Kasturba.
because Ba is basically a way of like Gandhi was called Bapu. Bapu is father.
Father.
Yeah, and Ba is mother.
His mother.
So we used to call her Kasturba.
Ba.
Kasturba
Yeah.
Gandhi. Yeah.
So it's a really fascinating story from traditional India. Unfortunately, India's been in the news for some bad things lately.
Yes, controversial things. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it has. It's the rape case that happened in 2013, December of 2013.
What
That's been
city
in the
was
news.
that?
It was New Delhi,
It was in New Delhi, which is the capital.
which is the capital. Yes.
Uh-huh.
In the past couple of years, New Delhi does not have a good rate when it comes to security for women. So that's why it was so much in the news, because then sometimes when such cases happen, you just have to say enough is enough. We can't take it anymore. And the brutality that
Yes, it was
Nirabhaya had to go through,
fantastic brutality.
it was
Gang rape of
gang
this young
rape, and then
woman.
if it had stopped at rape, it would not have been, of course it was a big thing, but it was not just gang rape, it was homicide. They
They killed her,
purposefully tried
yeah.
to hurt her,
Yeah.
using a rod sort of a thing to pierce her and then pull out her small intestines. They actually did pull out her small intestines. And then they threw her off the train, off the bus, and her male companion was also thrown off. They were naked, the side of the road. And then the guy, the juvenile who was also responsible for the rape, he threw away her intestines like there was no big thing out of the window of the moving bus. So it was horrendous.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
when I speak of it, I become, you know,
Yes, obviously, it's just
it just angers
unbelievable.
me. Yeah,
I mean,
it angers me the way you take women life for granted. Like, okay, yeah, she's not worth it. She's,
Yeah.
she's just supposed to sit there and take it because she
Yeah.
deserves it.
Like lynching in the U.S. of black males. I mean, we had a report recently, some group has put together the places where they were raped over the years, or, well, for the most part, they weren't raped. Because they were almost all men. I think there were maybe a couple of women, but they were lynched. They were hung, some were burned alive. I mean, all these terrible things that happen. And why anyone would think that they could not only take law into their own hands, but do these terrible kinds of violence is just really, really hard to imagine. We're going to have to get back to the nice stuff, Bhakti.
Oh, yeah.
Because we want everyone to come to the International Women's Festival. And we say day. Actually, International Women's Day is March 8th. That's the traditional time.
Yeah.
But here in this country, they started talking about doing it, well, I guess what I should say is that here in Athens, we've had to work around spring break and things like that. So we've never, ever had International Women's Day on Women's Day.
Yeah, it's basically 8th March usually comes around spring break, so...
Yes,
then,
yeah. So it's going to be March 15th, Sunday, March 15th, from 2 to 6, Baker Center Ballroom.
Be there.
Be there. It's on the 4th floor,
It's not just about we participating, or it's not just about display of talents, but it's also about appreciation. We need to know that it's not just us who are talking about women, but we do have supporters, and we do have people who care and share what we think and say.
Yes. And we'll have a nice turnout, and we didn't even talk about the vendors.
Oh, yeah.
The one I remember most, because I've been a Girl Scout myself over the years, is the Girl Scouts bring cookies for sale.
Cookies for sale, yes, they do.
So, and there will be some others now. Were you once a vendor?
Yes, I am, and this year also I'm going to be doing henna tattoos, like the
Oh,
herbal henna
great.
tattoos, and I have some stuff from India that I'm going to be selling.
Uh-huh.
So I hope people do come and they like stuff that I'm going to do, and
Oh,
I
right.
hope you want to get some henna, then just drop by Baker.
Now, a henna tattoo is not a permanent tattoo,
No,
right?
no. It's completely herbal, and there's no reaction, no side effects. It stays for around, if let's say the best bet would be 10 days, and then goes off. Yes, it just washes off.
And it's red, is that right?
Initially it is red, but it turns to brown the next day. The
Oh, I
darker the
see.
brown, the longer it stays.
Oh, okay. So if it comes up dark brown, you'll say, goody, I'm going to have it for 10 days.
Yes, you are.
Well, that's very interesting. So it's been marvelous to have Bhakti Shah as my guest today, because she's been talking about International Women's Day, and she's going to be both a performer and also a vendor.
Yes.
And there will be many, many more performers and vendors and exhibits, tables. AAUW is going to have a wonderful table because of our connections with Dean Irma Voigt and her connections with Catherine Gildersleeve. Catherine? I think so. Virginia Gildersleeve. Anyway, we're getting right down to the end, so I want to say thank you very much, Bhakti Shah.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoy talking to you.
Yeah. So this is Lois Whaley for Women Today and Yesterday.